Hey everyone, it's Harsh and welcome to my June 2020 Plan With Me and Bullet Journal setup video. I actually designed this cover page a little while ago and I'm really excited to finally be able to put it in my journal. I started with a pencil outline of the letters and then I went in with my purple zebra Mildliner and just drew in some of these standard 5-petal flowers and then used my green Staedtler fineliner to draw in some leaves. And at the end I just went in with my black Tombow dual brush pen and finished up the main part of the letters. So while I'm finishing up my cover page, I wanted to answer one of the questions that I get asked a lot when people find out that I do bullet journaling, and that is, how do you keep up with your journal? This is actually really important because I've been bullet journaling for over 2.5 years now, and if my bullet journal was something that I had to keep up with, then I guarantee you that I would not have been able to make it this long. There are two main reasons that I am able to keep up with my journal. The first one is that I tend to design my spreads a little bit ahead of when I'm actually going to be using it in my journal. And so when it comes to putting it into my journal, if I'm going to try out something new, I already have it designed and sketched out in a little sketchbook. And so it's easier for me to just go in and put it into my journal instead of having to design everything and draw and ink it all in one go. The second thing that I do to make this easily accessible for me is going with very simple spreads for spreads that I'm going to have to recreate often, like weekly spreads. If you follow my Instagram, you see that all of my weekly spreads have the same exact layout, and that's the layout that I'm going to be doing later on in this video. And so it's really easy for me to set it up. Even if I'm really busy, it takes me maybe 2 minutes, usually less, to set up my weekly spreads, and so it's not a big time commitment. The last thing I wanted to talk about real quick is just that my bullet journal has become such a big part of my life that if I don't have my journal set up, it's really hard for me to get any work done, just because I've gotten used to not having to remember any of the work that I have to do, because as soon as I find something that I have to do, I just write it down. And so it's really hard for me to get any work done if it's not set up. And so that's one of the big reasons why my journal is always set up and up to date. I'm just putting the finishing touches on my cover page, and now we can move on to the main part of my monthly setup. For this monthly setup, I condensed what would normally be a 2-page calendar and a 2-page tracker spread into one spread that had both the calendar and my habit and mood trackers, because I don't have a whole lot of events to put down and I didn't want to waste a whole spread with a big calendar with nothing in it. Each box in this calendar is 2 spaces by 2 spaces, and then I just made an outline around the whole calendar with a space on the top to write in the headings of the days of the week. I use the same zebra Mildliner throughout the setup, and this is the marker that I use when filling out my trackers during the month. One of the biggest tricks that I use when I'm writing in the numbers of the month is to make sure that 1, 8, 15, 22, and 29 are all lined up. So as I'm writing the numbers, as I get to each of those numbers, I just make sure that they're in a column so that even if I messed up a number or I forgot a number, I figure it out in under 7 numbers, and so I wouldn't have to fix a major portion of the calendar. This has actually helped me a lot because I'm always paranoid that I'm going to miss a number, especially since I have to write the numbers so many times, that it helps me a lot to just pay attention to those specific numbers so that I know that my calendar is right. The other tip that I have for when you're doing calendars is to always make sure you're in the right year when you're referring to a calendar, to know which day of the week the month starts on, because I've made the mistake so many times where I just look at the wrong year and then I realize halfway through writing the calendar that I'm looking at the right month for the wrong year. And so always make sure that you're in the right year, the right month before you start writing your calendar up. Moving on to my habit trackers, I just counted out the spaces for mini calendars for my habit trackers. I'm choosing to track 6 habits, and those fit really nicely along the bottom of my spread. I'm just referring back to my main habit trackers to write the titles of each habit, and then using the Zebra Mildliner and my Pilot G2 gel pen to make a quick title. While I was doing this, I realized that I probably should still give myself a space to put down important dates for June, and so I just added a box for that in the empty space between the calendar and my habit trackers. On the right side of the spread, I'm actually trying something different this month and making my mood trackers into a sort of doodle. I was supposed to draw 6 flowers, 5 petals each, and each petal would correspond to a day of June. And so I would color in each petal with a different shade of purple, going from pink to purple to blue, based on my mood for that day. But I accidentally drew out 7 flowers, so I'll probably just color that in once the whole spread is finished. I'm also planning to go in after the colors are all in with a green marker and just drawing in some leaves and finishing up the spread a little bit. While I was making my key, I realized that the colors don't look different enough for me to remember which color goes for which. So I actually went in later and whited out the dots for the colors for the key and just highlighted the background of the descriptive words for the moods. I also wanted to say sorry that my head keeps sticking into the frame. I didn't realize that that was happening until after I'd filmed all of my footage. I just drew a quick doodle where there seemed like a little bit of empty space next to my June calendar, and that's it for my main monthly setup. Moving on to the first weekly spread of the month. For my weekly spreads, like I mentioned earlier, I just do a very simple setup with 8 boxes. I use 5 boxes, 1 for each day of the week, Monday to Friday, and then I do 1 shared box for the weekend, and then 1 box for journals. And the last box I use to just make a quick title of June and then do a mini calendar so that I can refer to it while I'm giving myself work to do or figuring out deadlines for tasks that I have. On my journals box, I thought it would be fun to draw another small bunch of the flowers that I've been using throughout this setup. So I drew those in, highlighted them with the same purple marker, and used my green Tombow Duo brush pen to draw in some leaves. I really like trying out different lettering styles for the title of the month on my weekly setups because I can experiment with a lot of different things. And so within the same style of the month, I like to experiment with different sizes, colors, and other lettering styles. On my mini calendar, I highlight the background of the days of the week and then use the smaller side of the Mildliner to outline which week we're in. Here's a final flip through of all the spreads in this setup. Join me next month for my migrating to a new bullet journal video. Bye!